Hey, what's up, fam? This is a fun ride along today on a 1978 Honda CB750, and you'll get a real feel for the ownership experience. So, if you've watched the previous videos, this is a bike that I bought in 2003 when I was a resident in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and the guy I bought it from was a pretty nice guy, but the bike had a bit of a sketchy story. I'm not 100% sure if it was some kind of drug debt that had been repaid, or maybe it was just the paint job that was. Anyway, it was a funny story. But the paint job on the bike, I love the original Honda paint schemes on these old CB750s, even if they are a little bit bland. But somebody had painted this with ghost flames, with blue flames with ghost faces in it. And it was done really well. The guy was obviously an airbrush artist of some kind, but maybe a little bit seemed a little bit hardcore for my taste. Skulls and flames and stuff. But at the same time, it was cool and unique. I fell in love with the way the bike drives. It drives like my old dirt bike. I don't know. It's funny. Drum brakes, an engine that is certainly not overwhelming. It's a 750cc inline 4 single overhead cam. This was before they went to the double overhead cam engines, and I would imagine it might make 40 horsepower, 40 or 45. But as time has passed, and as my carburetors have been cleaned but not renewed, and gaskets leak and things crack and all that stuff, the top end power on this bike has dwindled. We also put on an entire new exhaust system when my dad was on steroids. He passed away in December of 2018, but he was on steroids for pancreatic cancer and became extremely obsessive about motorcycles. We talked about this in a separate video, but one of the projects that he really got into was this CB750. He really wanted to bring it back to life and make it kind of new again. I can't remember if he ordered it and then I had to pay for it. I think that was maybe the case. He might have bought the exhaust system. Anyway, we put on a new exhaust, and I believe the guy who worked on it did jet the carburetors at that time, but I couldn't swear to it. I can't remember all the stuff that happened because there was a lot going on at the time. But the bike sounds awesome. It sounds really nice, and at the end of this we'll try and play a little clip so you can hear it. The problem with this GoPro is that it picks up a ton of wind noise, and so when you're on a motorcycle, all you hear really is the roaring wind sound, as opposed to hearing the sound of the bike. But at the end of the video, I'll leave a little clip in so you can kind of get a sense of it. The inline 4 is so smooth, so nice. It does vibrate at highway speeds, and true to the vintage bike ownership experience, the mirrors get loose when you're driving into the wind. The watch the speedometer when we accelerate. Once you hit about 80 kilometers an hour, it'll start to swing violently up and down. And I'm not sure if that's wind moving the needle, if there's a broken seal on the back of the Speedo, or if it's an electrical gremlin. I don't know. I have no plans on fixing it. The things that I work on this bike are just basically to keep it running. I should tighten the left-hand mirror as well. It's a fun bike to ride. I was going to sell this. I don't have any room in the garage, and I had these big ideas that I might sell this bike and get something more modern. I was looking at a ZX14R. I've never had a sport bike, and I thought it might be fun to have a different type of inline 4 bike, something with a lot of power. But first of all, I'm not much of a speed demon. As you can tell, all my bikes are on the slower side. Maybe the ZRX would be a little bit quicker. This is a nice view of St. John coming up. Within the limits of the compression on the GoPro Hero 2. But the other thing is that we haven't, there goes the mirror, we haven't really had a paycheck in about 3 months. I'm a fee-for-service doctor, so as you can imagine, we canceled all our elective stuff. All the semi-urgent stuff has been postponed, and so I'm really only working on emergencies, and I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm not doing the service. I don't expect money for it, but I don't have money for a new bike right now, or a new to me bike. This is coming across the Harbor Bridge between West St. John and East St. John. There are a couple ways of going. I maybe should have gone the old way just to show the. Yeah, that's what I'll do next time. We'll record a nice ride through the west side and downtown St. John. You can see it. St. John's a funny city. It's a little bit like mini Pittsburgh, I guess you would call it. It's mostly an industrial city. There's a refinery here. But there's a beautiful downtown, beautiful old downtown, down by the waterfront. It's to our right. You can kind of see it. There are all these old buildings, big hotels and things. I think it was maybe more of a boom town back in the day, and it's kind of slowed down a bit. There are a lot of apartment buildings kind of on your left. That I picked up my bike from one of those apartment buildings, my ZRX, and they look a little bit shoddy on the outside, and but when you go in, they've got this beautiful view of the harbor. So there you go. That's downtown to your right, and the Hilton is the brick building, and then the big tall building. Everyone still calls it the NBTEL building, but NBTEL is now like Bell. So if you are Canadian and you have a cell phone, it's one of the 5 cell phone companies. What can I tell you about this bike? The ownership experience. It rarely lets you down. It is still a Honda. I don't maybe maintain it as well as I should. It's got a little bit of an oil leak. The reason it was in the shop, I was going to see if they could get a new drain plug or oil plug for it. Because I was thinking it was just leaking from there, but it's maybe from a gasket, and they'd have to do an engine teardown. And I can't justify. I've probably put $4,000 into it since I bought it for $600, and I'm guessing I might be able to sell it for, I don't know, $1,500 now. But to put another $3,000 into tearing down the engine would just be, I think, a little bit crazy. Plus, it wouldn't really change the driving experience, and it's not my main motorcycle. I do love riding it on the back roads. There's something about an old inline 4 Japanese bike that just, man, they've got, maybe the criticism is that they don't have a lot of soul, but this one, I feel like it does. Maybe as they get older, they become a little more soulful. You can feel the engine, you know what I mean? It feels and sounds like an old propeller plane. If you've ever taken a little rock hopper plane between islands or through the Maritimes or whatnot, it's just that old engineering style. It's just a nice, I don't know, it's a pleasant riding experience. It's pissing down rain right now, or I'd probably be out riding it again. This is probably the last GoPro Hero 2 video. We might use it for a B cam, but I've got a Hero 8 coming. I think it should be here on Monday. It's actually snowing outside right now. It's May 9th. So there may not be as much riding. It was pouring rain, but I'm starting to see some flakes. One thing that happened yesterday, I took my truck in just to get the winter tires off and the summer tires on, and I put the winter tires in storage because I've got so many bikes, I got no room to put anything else. But when I went to pick it up, it was after hours, I was at work and I had to walk up to get it. I went and got the truck, and the driver's side front wheel was not attached, and I actually stupidly, it was, the lug nuts were on it, but they weren't even hand tightened. So I drove it about 100 meters and then felt the tire coming off, and thank God, was able to pull over, but I probably sheared all the lugs in it, and very frustrating. I'm not sure how to deal with it. My wife called the owner of the shop. I was pretty livid, and he's gonna try to make it right, but it's going to need new wheel bearings, new wheel, new disc, the whole works. Oh, I guess he's in our driveway now. So I'll stop this for a second, and then we'll get back to narrating once I deal with that. So we're back. The guys just picked up the truck to take it back to the shop. I'm not going to say what the shop was. I almost didn't want them to take it because they did such a terrible job. They stripped all of the lug nuts, so even to get the other ones off, just to create a functional wheel to get the car back to my house. Anyway, it was an ordeal. These things happen, and that's the way it goes sometimes. This is coming off the Rothesay exit. I really should. I'm kind of stupid. I'm doing these ride-along videos just to feature the bike. It's so funny because I can only do them when we get a nice day. It feels like, or at least a cloudy day, but it's not raining, and it's been mostly raining when I'm off. The roads, again, classic NB tarmac. Do you guys call it tarmac or macadam? We have a macadam highway here, so but I think some people call the pavement macadam. Anyway, all beside the point. I had previously recorded this, but it got maybe a little bit political. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I'm a frustrated Canadian. Not a fan of our federal government particularly. You can see somebody was dumping oil on the highway here. This is the spring ritual. You get a vehicle out and don't realize that your oil is puking out of the car. And at first I thought it was just water on the road, but when I crossed it at one point right here, I could feel the you could almost see it. You feel the tires slip across it. And then I thought, well, I'll just be careful and drive away from the black strip in the road. Yeah, anyway, the bike ownership experience, I don't know what I was thinking. I was going to sell it, but this is, it's the last bike I remember my dad driving. I had bought a 1983 CB750 for him, like a Nighthawk 450, that he did drive once or twice, but his legs got really weak from the chemo and the steroids, and then he couldn't hold a bike up. He actually dropped the 450, I think, when he was trying to put it away. He didn't hurt himself, but he got pinned under it and needed somebody to come and help him out. But the 750, this was the last bike ride I remember with him. I'll try and make the thumbnail actually him riding this bike on his last ride. That'd be cool. I should get some footage. I should put some footage of my dad in one of these videos, because he was such a nice guy and he was so fun. It's a nice way to remember him. Maybe I'll put something at the end of this one. This is coming into just my mom's neighborhood. When I was a kid, a guy got hit by that train in his car and he was killed right at that crossing, and it turns out to be a friend of ours' dad. Like, we became friends since, because she has a kid the same age as Jack. Anyway, I'll shut up. Enjoy the rest of the ride. It's it's noisy because of the camera housing and the wind roar and all that stuff, but might as well let you hear the bike rev a little bit. And yeah, just let me know if you want more of these types of ride-alongs, if you don't mind this narration style. I know it's a little bit boring, but I don't use the game show voice, the game show host voice that a lot of YouTubers use. I figure you might as well hear the real me, even if it's boring. Because if you're gonna follow these, you might as well follow the real guy. All right, enjoy the rest of the video, and we'll talk to you later.
Like a charm.